Here we are talking about glow ups on LinkedIn and across all social media in this episode.
You can't just change your clothes and think that people will think I'm pretty.
Maybe we could talk about it from three different angles. I'll tell you the sticky truth over here.
Actually, these are the people who are in most requirement to glow up their profile.
Already I'm popular, I have so many followers, etc.
I'll just post a like and be done with it.
And nothing can be further from the truth.
Madan, yeah.
Wait, I forgot what I have to say. Hold. Damn. If I knew that, I would say it, no? Yeah, okay. The clock is striking midnight and you've dropped a shoe. Does this happen to you when you're about to get a job on LinkedIn or you've announced on LinkedIn and you don't know what to do with the rest of your profile? Well, Janavi, here we are talking about glow ups on LinkedIn and across all social media in this episode. Do we really pay glow ups that kind of attention? What do you think?
Yeah, I think when people think about personal branding, people think about LinkedIn, they just think about the content consistency. They think about let's do engagement, let's do comments here and there. And that's how they think they'll build their LinkedIn presence, right? What they forget is the makeup on the LinkedIn profile, right? Their personal branding is not just built by the content, it's built by what people see the moment they land on your profile, which is your heading, your bio, your profile photo, your banner, etc., right? So when you change your jobs or whenever you are reaching a milestone on LinkedIn and you're posting about it, there's a lot more glow up that's required. You can't just change your clothes and think that people will think I'm pretty. You've got to put on some mascara, you've got to, pump your cheeks up, all of that stuff. So people generally forget about that, the very basic things when it comes to personal branding. So I think let's talk about how you can give a glow up to your LinkedIn profile for your personal brand.
Let's do that. In fact, what I think is that glow up is very highly underrated because glow ups, people take non-seriously. They think, oh, they're being serious when they're making content on LinkedIn because they're responding to people and they're coming across as people who carry that weight. And while that's all good, glow up is also metadata because a lot of people actually don't end up saying how many people are actually checking out what their profile is. Is their profile connected to any search results and the rest of it? And that kind of gives a clue as to whether people are actually discovering you. And whether we like it or not, the way in which you come across at first glance in the first couple of seconds or whatever it may be is going to make an impact. So I thought that maybe we could talk about it from three different angles. Angle number one can be for a founder, okay, and its own challenges and maybe what they could do. Angle number two can be about talking to CXOs, the leadership, again, very busy people, and they probably forget a lot about glowing up on LinkedIn. And the third is probably the aspiring growth oriented professional who's ambitious and wants to make sure that he or she leaves the right impression and becomes a Cinderella or Cinderfella.
Yeah. So let's start with the founder profile. Now, for founders, one of the biggest challenges is, again, they're also running out of time. They have, they've just got investments or they have 100 things to do. Their growth is declining. Every day is an 18 to 20 hour of struggle, hustle, right? So in this, what happens is that founders generally believe that whatever their marketing team is doing for their startup, that's quite enough. And also founders believe that whatever they're posting on LinkedIn, that'll get the traction because, it's a founder. The moment you see the headline that says a founder, people tend to follow it. But what they don't realize is that the moment they post something like a milestone on LinkedIn, perhaps it could be a new press article that has been written about your company, or it might be a new funding round that you've achieved, or it might be some growth milestone that you've achieved for your company. People tend to go to your profile, they tend to check out what else you're doing, and they won't just check out your profile, right? The trust, your content timeline, the trust that gets built in your company, be it for the people you might recruit tomorrow, or the another set of investors that might be interested in your company tomorrow, or it might be some merger and acquisition opportunities that might come your way tomorrow, right? People will always start from your headline, what it says, what you've done, what your bio says, any particular milestone that you've achieved. So for example, for a founder that just says that I'm a founder at XYZ company and he's posted a milestone, great. There are like million founders hanging around today. I don't even know what your company does. Great, it's a milestone. I'll just post a like and be done with it, right? But at the same time, if your headline also says something that I scaled my company from this to this, or I recently got this much funding, got $200 million funding, or got a funding from Sequoia, or whatever, something like that, then it suddenly piques my interest as a viewer. That, yeah, if I may say so in Hindi, like ukhada hai kuch is insaan ne, right? So that's immediately a glow up. So you just posting something on your profile, that's like the prince found your shoe and then he came to test it out and he saw a normal girl just standing there and the shoe fits, right? But if you're not wearing that beautiful gown, if you don't have all the fairy godmother's magic around you, then the prince might not actually fall in love with you.
Yeah, no, just let me add to this. Like founders are guilty of being very provider centric. So they think that if their company and their product and all is so good, they're so enamored by whatever they're doing, that they just think that it will speak for itself, and nothing can be further from the truth. What they actually might want to do is actually invest in the way in which their overall LinkedIn profile is, or even, I mean, we're talking for LinkedIn, but it could very well be Twitter or Instagram for D2C brands, or any other social media of their choice. And maybe that's another separate episode as to which platform to choose. But the fact is that if I have to look at, let's say, LinkedIn for the minute and figure out, okay, when do I start thinking about my glow up? I think you should be thinking about your glow up immediately, even before you're getting that funding from Sequoia. What do you think?
Yeah. Okay. Here's a question for you. If I'm a founder, what do you mean when you say glow up my profile? Do you just mean changing the hygiene, or to make it more on brand? What?
I'll tell you the sticky truth over here. The sticky truth over here is whatever probably makes you cringe. Because glow up is essentially, you changing your profile. Like, for example, if you see my LinkedIn right now, I've changed it to my winter clothing. It's as if I've gone into hibernation, and it just communicates something. It just communicates something at a metadata level. So yes, changing your photo, yes, changing your tagline, yes, talking about who you are in a different way, what you stand for, is definitely part of it. Also, when you're announcing something, like whether you're joining a new thing that you're starting up with your co-founder, who your co-founder is, and so many things, right? There are so many opportunities for you to actually state what you are and what you are not as well.
So it could just mean that. So okay, right now, whatever profile image that we have is generally very professional kind of profile, right? Now, for example, you've reached a milestone where you started a new cool brand, right? You could just put your profile picture like a very candid kind of a photo with a very cool or gimmicky sort of an expression that just pulls people in, resonates with that brand, something similar. Or maybe just
Yeah,
to change your banner to make it more happy, more friendly, to
yeah.
fit your brand style.
Yeah, and here's the thing, right? How do you stop yourself from feeling that you're doing something cringy is by actually understanding the deeper level of communication that you're doing. So what tends to happen with the kind of profile that you're putting up, or your banner or whatever, is that they're communicating something about you that should be aspirational. And that should be aspirational for a variety of stakeholders, especially your new customers, or your investors and the rest of it. And that is adding a lot of value. The moment you start flipping the switch, and not thinking, oh, I'm above all of this, actually say, okay, what's the value that my glow up is going to provide to my stakeholders? I think that's the best way that a founder can actually look into things.
For a founder, again, the stakeholders are very different, right? The investor
Hmm.
wants something else, the recruitee wants something else, and an acquiring company might want something else. So
Yeah.
that one profile has to speak to all of these stakeholders. So how does a founder does the glow up so that it doesn't look like a gecko to somebody, or it doesn't look too bland for somebody?
Janvi, I think I will, politely disagree with you. It's not about being a gecko. I think whenever, like, you're going for a party, you wear your best clothes, you wear your makeup and stuff like that. You got to understand where the party is at the moment, okay? And you got to understand who are you actually talking to at the moment, and knowing fully well that your glow up is going to last only till that party, and then actually change your glow up again for something else. So, for example, if you're doing a product launch, obviously it is talking to a specific stakeholder like your customer or your prospective. So the way in which your glow up would be different. The way in which your glow up should be when you're raising a round of capital it should be different. So you need
Right.
to think of it from that perspective.
Right. So your profile doesn't have to just fit your brand; it has to fit the context in the premise of the
Yeah,
brand.
absolutely. Most people ignore it. They take it very less seriously.
I think it's time the founders should change that. That will increase the credibility, and that is actually a very subtle cue for it as a marketing tactic in a way.
Yeah. So, for example, when we started Fable Lab, what I
Yeah.
decided was that, okay, I need a tagline. So I was known as the traveling professor, but what I decided was I need to kind of cue in the fact that we are all about storytelling and how it helps businesses. So therefore, facts tell and stories sell, or
Yeah.
facts tell and stories propel. And I keep playing with both of
Yeah.
these things over a period of time, because I know I'm trying to communicate something which is part of the glow up, right?
Yeah.
And
So
you've got to get to the other side of the cringe.
true, true, true. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you brought that in. I've changed my since we started Fable Lab, I've changed my banner image, I've changed my heading a couple of times just to see
Mm.
what's sticking and what's not sticking. And as trivial as it might seem, it has actually changed the number of connections that I have received. Right?
Yeah.
I keep on A/B testing. I mean, we both keep on A/B testing with the
Yeah.
experience descriptions, with the
Yeah.
about us, with the headings and all, and it definitely does give you an increase or decrease in the number of
Absolutely.
connections that you get, despite the
Absolutely.
fact that our content has remained consistent since the last 6-7 months, right? Okay, so I think now we can come to the big weeks, and the CXOs who are crunched on time, and they have a lot more, different problems than a founder. Even though both of them they are heading the companies, both of them they have similar goals. How should a CXO glow up their profile?
I think the core aspect for any CXO is to understand how they were when they were junior, maybe in maybe a tech company, and they were telling all the coders over there that, hey, testing is also part of your job. Okay,
Mm.
and what tends to happen is that when you rise up in management and when you go into a CXO level, you tend to forget that, oh, okay, building my profile is also part of my job. What CXOs are guilty of is kind of maybe outsourcing the heart and soul of what they stand for, to somebody who is quite junior or maybe an outsider, and they just outsource the whole LinkedIn activity, saying, "Oh, it's something that I need to do, but I have got more important things to do." So it's a bit like the founder, maybe, but also the fact that, oh, they've got this intense pressure, and there's a lot of office politics and stuff like that. They can say a few things, they can't say a few things. So I would definitely recommend CXOs to get an advisor, right, rather than get a doer who will kind of put up stuff just for the sake of putting up stuff on LinkedIn and blowing up things and whatever. And then you're always having this feeling as a senior leader, like, this is not really getting to me. I don't know what people think. Maybe it's there for the younger generation and shit like that. So the core aspect is that you need to get out of Dodge City over here, and you need to understand that you are responsible for your own glow up, right? And
Mm.
again, I would recommend the party going example. I mean, CEOs, when you're wearing your suits to go to a press conference, think of it like that. And frankly, nobody else is going to write your story as well as you can, unless and until you are able to actually communicate what you're trying to do to somebody who's intelligent enough to understand it from the other side. So that's a difficult marriage to have. Now, CXOs or CEOs even need to really, really dive down deep into the movement or cause that they stand for. Because I think that in a commoditized world, what tends to happen is that your products, your services, and everything has intense competition, and you're always struggling to fight. People need a reason to like you. People need a reason to actually, go for whatever you're doing, even though, it's, as you say in Hindi or Marathi, 19-20 ka farak hai, right? So it means that you don't have too much of a difference in what you're offering. So I think these are some of the thoughts that come to mind when it comes to CXO handling.
Yeah, especially for the bigger companies, the trust in CEO or the faith in the CEO's vision directly translates into the growth of the brand or the products. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you see Tim Cook, he doesn't hold a candle to Steve Jobs, right?
Hmm.
One of the reasons is because of Steve Jobs as a brand, right?
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
constantly glowed up his profile.
Yeah.
Obviously not LinkedIn profile, but constantly glowed up his brand as a profile, right?
Yeah. I
So
mean, what
something
what
that
we're
Tim Cook
talking
is
of.
not doing
Yeah, what we're talking of is, sure, we're talking in the context of LinkedIn, but it applies, as you correctly said,
everywhere.
across. Here's the weird thing. If I look at the way in which your glow up is supposed to happen as a CEO, it follows a different rule book, right? It is not the same way in which somebody else is, like maybe a founder or maybe just a young person trying to make their bones on LinkedIn. So this different playbook is based on the fact that you got to read your LinkedIn profile differently. Now, if you're a CEO, okay, of a well-known company, or if you're somebody who's like in HR and a senior leader, you're going to get a lot of followers who
Mm.
will, kind of confuse you. You'll think, hey, I'm popular on LinkedIn. I got these 40,000 people. And actually, that is not the way in which you should be measuring. What you should be looking at is, okay, how many people are actually forming a deeper engagement with what I'm doing? How many people are actually making comments on whatever my profile is, or maybe sending thoughtful messages which go beyond them trying to sell me something or them trying to get a job at my company, and
Yeah.
the rest of it. And I think a lot of CEOs or even HR people are a little distant in terms of the way in which they are communicating on LinkedIn, because they get overwhelmed with these sorts of nonsensical questions and queries. And what you need to do is accept it as part of the joyride. Joe Rogan famously says that he doesn't read any comments on LinkedIn, or not on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and that has kept him sane. So what he's doing is that he just makes sure somebody like Gary Vee reads all the comments. So you got to figure out what your style is, but you can't get sucked into the trap that, okay, people are always trying to get something off me. I already am popular. I have so many followers, etc. Instead of that, actually try to figure out what am I trying to achieve, right?
Mm.
On LinkedIn, I may have all these followers, but am I getting the right kind of followers? Are they connecting with me for the right kind of reason?
For example, a hiring post always gets more number of impressions and
Yeah.
comments, right? And generally, companies tend to believe that this post performed well, all of our posts will perform well. That's not going to happen because there
Yeah.
are thousands of applicants, but there are very few
Yeah.
people who actually engage with the company for the company, and that's very much true for CXOs. Now,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you get most of the CEOs or any CXOs gets follows because they have that title, the designation that plays for them, and that is true for the the lower rung of the ladder people, because we are
Yeah.
you're looking at those people that might hire you tomorrow. You want to engage with them, you want to be connected to somebody who is aspirational to you. But what's meaningful to you as a CXO is people adjacent to you, people in your peer group or people above you, people, who are connecting with your brand, are they connecting with you? Is there some opportunity that might open tomorrow because of this profile, because of your LinkedIn engagement? Is that
Exactly. Exactly. And now let's shift this. I think we've spoken enough about CXOs and we've spoken enough about founders. Let's go to, a young, ambitious professional who's trying to get up and going, whether they're doing any work in the gig economy or maybe trying to go up the corporate ladder and stuff like that. So, Janavi, my question to you is, how should a young, ambitious professional start to look at a glow up on their profile? I think that they would not feel it that much of a cringe factor, right?
Yeah, I think the people who are starting out, the people who are just starting at the growth of the ladder, they generally tend to do the glow up. But I think they also get sucked into that let's make consistent content kind
Mm,
of a stairwell, right? Because they're just trying to build their profile. They want to get as many eyeballs as possible. But actually, these are the people who are in most requirement to glow
mm,
up their profile, because they are the ones either looking for clients, they're the ones looking for money, they're the ones looking for new jobs, better jobs, more growth opportunities. And the moment you post something very very intelligent, or maybe do a very intelligent comment that gets eyeballs, immediately you start getting more people viewing your profile, and that is the perfect opportunity where a great recruiter might see you, or even a CXO might
yeah.
see you, a good founder might see you. And the moment
Yeah.
they come to a profile, if they don't connect with that profile, if your profile doesn't give the correct value addition of yours, or if your profile just tells people that yeah, I worked with this company and that's it, or your profile is still what it was 5 years back, it's not going to make any difference. It's You might get a profile
I'm
view, that's it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this is even worse, right? Because the
Yeah,
growth oriented professional, ambitious, will create a profile, okay, which is like hip and happening and the rest of it, right? But the fact is that they've made a comment which is very intelligent, which showcases a very smart and different part of their personality, okay? And then this person checks you out, and then he comes across this arrogant brat of a person who's, thinking too highly of themselves as their profile, right?
yeah,
So it is as if those two pieces are disconnected. So the
yeah,
biggest advice that I could give somebody who's young and ambitious is think about what you're writing on the comments. Think about how you're attracting people to your profile, and does your profile show off? So in fact,
yeah.
they should be less glowing up, maybe wear some lesser makeup at times, and actually make sure that there is an alignment between what they're commenting and what their profile says. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, it's basically like people are investing a lot in a stock, but that stock is either overvalued or undervalued. At the
There
end
you
of
go.
the day, your PE ratio is always going to tell the story, right?
My
So,
God.
oh, this is for the young people. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean,
All right.
because whatever you're writing on LinkedIn will always tell the story.
Hmm.
You can't hide the fact. You can't hide who you are in those 150, 200, or 500 characters. That's always going to come out. And if your profile doesn't match with it, then it's either going to piss somebody off, or it's just going to across as whatever.
Yeah.
मजाक नहीं आया
No,
आज,
I
whatever.
I think Janavi, the critical aspect for all of these guys, whether you're CEOs or CXOs, or whether you're founders, or whether you're people who are young and ambitious, is that the path towards your profile, how people are discovering you, is absolutely critical.
Yeah,
Because there has to be an expectation build up, and then you have to meet expectations when I see profiles.
yeah, and it's very important to remember that there is no playbook to glow up your profile. Now, for example, if you
Mm.
put it in AI, or those, the gurus of LinkedIn always tell you that, this is how your heading should be, this is what your banner should be, etc., etc. To be very honest, if you look at my profile, it follows none of those rules, and I have
Yeah,
been
absolutely.
very, very, I mean, very, very adamant on it. A number of people who've seen my profile when I was sitting for placements in my car, when I was starting up the job, etc. Everybody told me that this should be professional. This is how it
Yeah,
should
yeah,
be, and I was like,
yeah.
that is not my tone, right?
No,
That
it
is
isn't.
not my brand. My profile
No.
should be an imagery of who I am. If I am,
Zig when others
then
zag.
zag.
Basically, you
Yes,
have to.
exactly. So the Phil
Absolutely. Yeah.
Dunphy comes out.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna shut
Yeah.
up
So
now.
I mean, for at least, especially for the young people and the founders, break all the goddamn rules. Who's asking
Mm,
you to follow the rules? Maybe the CXOs need to tread a line, because they have to follow the company line. They have to come out more as
yeah,
professional. Even though even there is a lot of wiggle room on
yeah,
how you can bring your personality out. But for the founders, especially for the new tech companies, the new gen companies, and the young professionals, there's a lot of creativity that you can do. I mean, you just do what you do on Instagram, do what you do on X or TikTok or whatever. Let your personality shine. What am I supposed to do with yet another resume on LinkedIn profile? It's not a resume, it's a profile that is you.
absolutely. I'd like to, here, let's talk of insights from. So I'll tell you what one of my insights is. This struck me is that, okay, you know what? Dress your age. Okay, dress your age. I know I'm going to sound ageist over here or whatever you want, but just be yourself. I mean,
Yeah,
don't you know that hip uncle who tries to be too cool by wearing younger clothes and looks like makes an ass of himself. I think that there is that tendency of people who are like CEOs or whatever. They're just trying to appear very different from who their core personality is. Works the other way too. You know, young people trying to come across as very mature and very stable and all of that is never going to work. I
yeah.
think that there is a range that you should play in. So that's one of the insights. Any insight
Yeah.
you got?
If you look at people like Piyush Pandey or some great CXOs, CXOs with a ponytail, they somehow always seem to be very get stuck in your mind. You always
Hmm.
remember these people. It's not, you don't even know their work. You might not have watched a single campaign of Piyush Pandey, but you'll know who Piyush Pandey is. It's
Sure.
just because
The
of that
mustache.
magnanimous personality, the mustache, exactly the
Yeah,
mustache,
it is the
and the
mustache.
person
Yeah.
never did away with that. Even as the director, the creative director of Ogilvy, one of the best agencies in the world, he never wore that suit pant sort of stuff. He
No.
was who he was. He was that small kid from Jaipur who
Yeah.
made the elephant ad, right? So
Yes.
that's what he'll always be, and that's what he'll always get remembered as. And that's because
Yes.
everything that he did, his profile, any profile that he ever made, any interview that he ever gave, it brought out his genuine personality out. So when I've seen that in young people a lot, that, yeah, that you should have your profile picture as that suit and tie sort of a thing. Dude, you're not sitting in a placement meeting. There is no placecom committee going to scold you because
Yeah.
your profile is not looking tip top, because your hair is sideways or whatever. The
Yeah.
Any manager, especially if you're a young person, the startup founders that are going to hire you are not going to hire you because you are yet another wannabe with a rod stuck up his ass. He's going to hire you because you bring something different to the table. And how does that person know that you bring something to the table? It's from your profile. If that's
Yeah.
not different, you are not different. It's as simple
No.
as that.
Absolutely. Here's another insight that I got. It's like most people when they see their profile, they feel, oh, I need to work out a bit more. Okay, and I need to I need to be a little smarter. So I need this certification or this degree before I actually change my profile. Okay,
Yeah,
because I need to be worthy of it. So there's a bit of an imposter syndrome as well. I
yeah.
think that this is where you need to actually change things up a little. You're not changing the ingredients, you're changing the recipe, right? And this is really really critical. What you're not doing is you're trying to add something just to feel good about yourself. No, these are the ingredients you got. Okay, how are you going to make a recipe out of it? Okay, and make the most of it. Of course, get your certification. Of course, work out in the gym. That's okay. You don't procrastinate because of this.
Yeah, and my last insight on this, right? So if you look at, if you're going out on a party, or if even if you're going to your office, the least effort and the time taking activity is perhaps putting a gloss on your lips. That's about
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
But it glows your face up, right?
Yes.
As you won't know.
I have a bath. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and this putting a gloss on your lips, or the smallest amount of glow up, is something that everybody ignores, because you founders think that they don't need that kind of glow up. CXOs think the designation will be important, will be sufficient. The young people think that people are just looking at my comments and my whatever. So the one thing that you're forgetting, because you don't have time, is something that is going to take the least amount of time to do, and perhaps have
Hmm.
one of the highest impacts
And
in
that
the
is so well
world.
said. Yeah, 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 yeah. I get it. Absolutely. 100%. Do the bare goddamn minimum.
Exactly,
It'll help. It'll
exactly.
help. It'll help. Here's my final insight, and maybe we can stop with that. The final insight is have a glow up calendar of events. Try to identify in advance as to where you would need a glow up. Okay,
Hmm.
will it be post Diwali? Will it be, so don't wait as a reactive mode. Don't wait in reactive mode saying, oh, I'll do this when I get a job. Again, that's following the ingredients versus recipe thing. Just see how you can switch things up to make sure that you bring some of that Instagram cool into your LinkedIn, or something else. You already have it within you. Just make sure that you have a glow up calendar of sorts.